Welcome everybody to the Women in Technology Spotlight. In this episode, I have with me Sarah Mestiri. She is a data scientist at Remerge, and she's also a speaker at tech events. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi. Hello, Ronke. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for joining me, Sarah. It's a pleasure having you. And I would like our audience and also myself to get to know you. So please do share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Sarah. I'm 31 years old. I'm married, and I have a little boy who is 2 years old. And I live with my husband and son in Berlin. We are originally from Tunisia. And I really enjoy living in Berlin from a lot of point of perspectives, because also it's a very international and multicultural city. But I really miss the sun and the sea from Tunisia, because it's a Mediterranean country, and the weather in Berlin is not the same at all.
Yes, I can imagine. I mean, I also love Berlin. It's very, very similar to Austria, where I live in Vienna. And we always enjoy going to Berlin for weekends because it reminds us a little bit of home. But yes, there is no ocean and there's very little sun in the middle of Europe.
And it's either like very cold and all the time rainy and cloudy, or it's very hot like now this week. It's really, and you don't have a sea, but there is the sea, so the lakes.
Let's talk a little bit about your background and what brought you to this insanely hot city. You were originally from Tunisia, but I also saw from your profile that you also went to university in the US, right?
So no, that was online.
Oh, that was online. Okay.
Coursera, I put it as I give you a little bit of my background. So I grew up in Tunisia. I studied in Tunisia for my educational journey. I did like originally I wanted to be in the pharmacy, or like in the pharmacy, not a doctor, but in the pharmacy, because my family comes from the background of medical field. So everyone from my dad family is from the medical field. But I didn't really like being in the medical field, because it was really a long way. And for me, I want to really finish my studies and start working as soon as possible. So that medical field, I didn't want to be there, but I was interested in the pharmacy. However, I couldn't get the score in my high school degree to really go into pharmacy. And the second thing that I really loved at that time is informatics, so computer. I was very curious about the computer, and I can tell you also from where it comes from. But that's so I chose preparatory engineering, preparatory school, which is like the French cycle of engineering. 2 years preparatory and then 3 years engineering school.
Okay.
And then I went to National School of Computer Science in Tunisia, which is like one of the best one, but it was also after one of the setbacks in my studies also. Yeah,
that's interesting that you had two interests that are actually very far apart from each other, because pharmacology and computer science are not really closely related. So you said your family is more involved in the medical field. So where did that interest in computer come from? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember it very well. So because my father really wanted to expose from early age on in our childhood. So I have a brother, so just two. And my father wanted to expose us to new technology. Always, he wants to expose us to new technology, and he bought a computer for us when I was in maybe, I don't know, in high school, second year high school or so. And so I used the computer. I was actively in some forums and so on. And one time the computer crashed, and it started to reboot every 60 seconds.
Okay.
There is a virus, and it kept rebooting the computer every 60 seconds, and I really felt challenged by this. Like I was, oh my God, why it's happening? I have to, and because I'm problem solver, I said, okay, I have to solve this. And I spent 3 days. I remember it very well. So I had to use another computer. Like we have two, like I think one laptop and one fixed computer. So I was using the laptop and the computer and trying without really giving up until I solved the issue after 3 days. And I think from that experience, I felt curious and interested in the computer, in how it works and so on. And I loved it.
I think that's a very important experience, trying something and being successful, and then this gives you the confidence to move on with that. So that is a very interesting way to get into something. Something goes wrong and you fix it and you feel confident.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a life cycle of, every developer, I think, or also someone who works with the computer. Yeah, I was exposed to it, so that is a challenge, and I loved it. And so when I didn't really get to the pharmaceutical field, first thing I thought of is I want to go into informatics. Yeah.
So since your father was the one who exposed you to technology, I don't necessarily have to ask you whether he was surprised by your choice. Obviously not, because he is also into technology. Tell me a little bit about how it was at university. Were there a lot of women like you, or were there more men? What was it like going into university in this field in Tunisia?
Yeah, so in Tunisia, it was I think there was a good ratio of women and men study in the university, but what wasn't really the ratio was much more less in the activities. So we had clubs. And for me, I was in the beginning, before going to university, I was very shy. I really just focus on my studies, exams, and so on. And I don't care about communication. But when I arrived to engineering cycle, I don't know who said communicated this to me, but I understood that it's very important to really be good at communication. And so I threw myself in some activities and clubs in the university, so I can really practice that and build my skills, both practically, because I like also developing. So I don't like so much the theoretical parts, but I like developing. And when I joined the clubs, I really, for example, hackathons and so on, there I noticed the difference. So in the school, in the class context, we had a fair ratio, but in the hackathons, I remember one of the hackathons I went to, it was 24 hours. And then in the hackathon, I found myself the only female there. All the others are male. And it was that moment that I felt how it's not really the case between university and real life. It's not the same. Most women go into education, so teachers, university teachers. They go to that.
You touched on two really interesting things here. And one is that this is an experience I have made with a lot of women I interviewed, that it seems that, for example, in the Middle East or in North Africa, and also in the previously East Bloc countries, there are more women who are actually going to university and in these computer science classes. So there's a better balance than we have here in Austria or in Germany. So that's an interesting thing, because people would expect it to be the other way around, but it isn't. And the other thing that I really liked is how you talked about communication, because that is so pivotal. So I actually wrote an article about this recently, that communication is one of the most important skills to have in tech nowadays, you know. So, and that is also why I feel that women are so suited for technology, because they are good communicators usually. Yeah. So I like that part about what you told me. So tell me a little bit more about your journey. So then you went to university, you studied computer science, and what happened after that?
Yeah, so I was in our university, we can choose between different options that we study for 2 or 3 semesters, like more specialization. And yeah, there was imaging, there was network, like more in the network, and network systems, or also artificial intelligence and intelligent systems. I went to that option because I was really, yeah, thanks to my dad, I think, again, he really bought also a smartphone for us, for me. And at that time, I really was like, there is started like the voice recognition, the image recognition, and also the recommendation, because I like traveling, by the way, and I used booking.com.
Oh, yeah.
So I also see like the recommendations and so on. So that's why I decided to go to artificial intelligence in university. But then it was very theoretical, and me, I like to develop. I like to create. And if I don't see like the concrete result of what I do, yeah, it demotivates me.
Yeah.
And so because it was very theoretical, so I soon said, no, I think, yeah, I enjoyed the classes of artificial intelligence, but no, I felt like maybe, yeah, let's just have a job. Like I studied for 18 years.
It's time to do something else.
Yeah, and in Tunisia there wasn't really a possibility so much a lot to join, for example, a startup or a company who is using artificial intelligence. It wasn't really at 2014 in Tunisia. It was just starting and not so many. So I soon after graduating, I went and found the first job I can do. Yeah.
And what was the first job?
My first job was as let me remember. So yeah, my first job was in a company that is like allocating resources for SAP. So okay. we develop solutions for SAP, and I was ABIP, the language of SAP, ABIP developer.
Oh, okay.
There I was really exposed to coding standards, how to really write a good code, and it was a good environment to get the basics of how to develop and like create explainable codes. And yeah, that was my first job.
So this was where you went from theory into practice.
Yes.
So cool. So, but now you are obviously in Berlin. What brought you there? And what do you do now?
Yeah. Okay. So after like having my first experience there as a developer, then I felt like I didn't like the work environment I had. So I wanted to change, and I was interested in Java. So I changed. I get a certificate in Java, and then looked for another job and got another job. After again 1 year, I was like, this is not still like what I'm looking for. So yeah, after 2 years, I started to think, okay, I feel like there is like a calling that I go back to artificial intelligence and machine learning and so on. And I didn't feel happy to develop web applications. So I was developing web applications with that. I wanted something else, maybe more broad, because I feel interested in understanding why I'm developing this function, why I'm developing this thing, and what's its impact. So that's when I started to think about going into machine learning. but also, so I started to look for a job and work and so on. And I also was just married at that time. So my life changed from personal perspective, and then also the work, I wasn't happy, and it was too much. So I found that I need to maybe quit my job and really focus 100% on machine learning. But I really faced a lot of doubts that I can do it, especially from my former colleagues, or some former colleagues really came to me and said, like, you are just dreaming, like you are looking for something that the work environment that you won't ever find. You dream a lot. And I had a vision, like I want to work in a company like this, and where, I mean, I think about everything. But so what I did then, I was interested in Berlin and in machine learning. So I said, okay, let's at least discover the city and discover the field and really see if I like it or not. And with my father's support, I joined a conference for the first time, which is about data, called Data Natives, in Berlin. That was a big investment, but he really believed in me, and he always wanted to keep to support me until like I will be happy in my work. So I joined that conference, and I really liked the city, liked the field, and yeah, I started to build my network from that point. And after that, I was strong enough to really take the decision after the conference and left my job and then started to learn online machine learning.
So that story illustrates nicely that whenever you try to achieve something in life, there will be one side that doubts you, but if you're lucky, there's also the other side that will support you. And I love that your father is always there to cheer you on and believe in you, you know. And that's so important. It's so important to have people in your life who believe in you, because there's enough people out there who will tell you what you want to do is not possible.
I wanted to say it's important to surround yourself with people who support you. It's always possible to find. Yeah.
True. So great. I'm so happy to hear that you were able to fulfill that dream and find what you were looking for. Maybe you can tell us a little bit what a data scientist does, because not everyone watching has an idea what that is.
Yeah. So after that journey, I got my job in Berlin to work as a data scientist at Remerge. And I think because I was very focused on what I want, then I worked on developing a recommender system, the first project that I worked on. And this is like about the project, but to answer your question, a data scientist is someone who uses the data in order to get insights and bring value to the business. So that's in summary.
So when you think about your day-to-day job, what is it like? What do you enjoy about it? How is your life? Is it flexible? What is it like working as a data scientist?
So the work of a data scientist is more like on the laptop mostly, but it's not only the only work condition. So because as a data scientist, there is exposure to, you need to bring value to the business. So it's like that's the focus of a data scientist compared to a software developer who is more oriented to customer products. But the data scientists, even though they can develop a product, it's more for the business. And what does it mean? It means that you need to understand the domain and also really speak with the stakeholders, with the client, if in the consultancy, data science consultancy. But in my case, it's so I work on a project internally at Remerge, and I'm very exposed to the business side, and the data on a daily basis. And then, I have to collaborate with the departments that I am helping, and also write on the notebooks, coding. But I don't see coding in the same way as I was as a developer. So it's a small part. To me, it's really a small part in the life cycle of a data science project, because I spend most of the time doing research, trying to find an algorithm to solve a problem, and then testing, developing a model, and then like really find, when I say a model, is like machine learning model. So like then it's more about, it's not important that this model brings the best result, like for example, the accuracy. In machine learning, we call it the accuracy. What is more important is that it does what is expected. Like, for example, let me improves, for example, the click-through rate here in Remerge. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That's so important. That's what I wanted to understand. Because, you know, people, when you tell them you work in tech or you're a developer, you're a data scientist, they think you sit in front of a computer and you code and code and code and talk to nobody. But what you illustrated really nicely is that most of your job is actually communication, research, and understanding things, and not actually actively coding. So this is a job that brings you together with other people, and you have to, as you said, understand the business, talk to the stakeholders. And what I'm trying to illustrate to our viewers is that the job in tech is actually something that is very communicative, and that is something that is not something where you sit in a cellar in the dark in front of your computer alone. So yeah, I thank you for describing what you do. And since we're already winding down, because we already nearly spent half an hour, I would like to ask you, from your journey and from how you experienced your journey into tech, is there anything you would like to share with young women following behind you who are still thinking about? Are there any tips you can give how to succeed?
Yeah, let's say in general, or those who are going for tech already?
Both. If you have something to share for all young women.
Okay, maybe I can start by all young women, and then those who are interested in tech. So all young women, what I want to say to them is like, don't be afraid to really go for what you feel like you want to do, even though it can be counter the crowd. How can I say?
Against the crowd, against
yeah. Even though, so go for whatever you want to feel like you want to do, even against the crowd. So for me, it was, for example, I faced it like all people go for mostly medical field, and then even women, if they follow the tech field, they go more for the having a doctorate and then teaching in universities. But for me, I wanted something else. Yeah, keep going, knocking those doors, and then you will find your way. For the women in tech and interested in tech, because I know also a lot of women are interested in tech, in data science, in machine learning, because we hear that it gives more flexibility. And this is one of the things that I can attest in my work. It's really flexible. You can work from anywhere. And yeah, technology is like the marketplace is really open for tech and keep being open. So for those interested in tech, don't just follow tech because it's the hype, or data science because it's the hype. Especially data science, for example, it's a very broad field, still developing, even though it's existing since more than 10 years and so, but it's still in the developing phase within companies and so on. So my advice is to understand, to get clear about what you want, what direction, and think about you, not only the marketplace. Yeah. So and try to get an idea of what is the daily life of the job. Just like you asked me, what do you do? Yeah.
Very good points. All of the points together. As you said, yes, definitely try to do what you want to do. Don't think about whether it is what everybody's expecting, just because it's your life, right? I mean, it's, you have to live it and you have to be happy. And that's true for all young women, I guess. And yeah, and then the part about following your passion and not just the hype is also really important to understand, because it's not enough to say I want to work in tech because tech is the future, but you have to find your place within it, and for that you have to try to find out what you will actually be doing, and then what is available. And the other part I also love that you mentioned, that is the flexibility, because especially for women who want to have a family and children, flexibility is a big thing, and being able to work from anywhere will make your life so much easier if you want to combine all these things. And that's true for young men as well, but still, I mean, we know that women will usually bear the brunt of.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing all that, Sarah. It was a great pleasure talking to you. I love your story and I love your enthusiasm, and I hope I will talk to you again sometime soon.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.